main ones I'm watching on my throne. Created everything, but I called you my own. That land I gave you, put my name on it, my home. Yeah, that's my home. Israel, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob. I made a promise, can't nobody take it. I chose to put you above all the nations. Out of your grace, I chose to awaken. We made a covenant, don't you forsake it. Come get protected while they going crazy. Israel, my firstborn, my baby. Israel, my firstborn, my baby. I woke you up in your land of captivity. I do not change, I want you to remember me. Laws and commandments, I gave you the remedy. Go read the testimonies for your memory. I sent them prophets, but you wasn't hearing me. I come to you if you really come near to me. I heard your cry, now it's time to take it of me. I'm the one got you from all of your enemies. Who you know open the sea. Them waters was bitter, but I made it sweet. In case you ain't know how to swim, I'm your protector, so I made you walk on your feet. This a reminder you married to me. I just want you to be all I called you to be. They called you niggas, but I made you priests. I'm about to give you back everything. I'm sending plays for you. I'm sending boys, drying up rivers. I leave them dead for you. Tell Pharaoh, let my people go. You heard what I said for you. Tell Pharaoh, let my people go. You heard what I said for you. For you, you only ever known. Y'all the main ones I'm watching on my throne. Created everything, but I called you my own. That land I gave you, put my name on it, my home. Yeah, that's my home. Israel. I'm the reason you in captivity. We made a covenant, you ain't remember me. You broke the covenant, I sent your enemy. Get off my land since you wasn't fearing me. I'm the reason they put you in chains. I'm the reason they switched up your name. I'm the reason why you in the hood. I'm the reason of all your pain. I'm sending floors fast, daily. Think I don't love you, y'all my babies. Gave my son, must be crazy. Come on, that system, come out of that lane. They got that military, it would not phase me. It would not move me, it would not graze me. Remember Egypt, I did all that for my people. You only ever known. Y'all the main ones I'm watching on my throne. Created everything, but I called you my own. That land I gave you, put my name on it, my home. Yeah, that's my home. You only ever known. Y'all the main ones I'm watching on my throne. Created everything, but I called you my own. That land I gave you, put my name on it, my home. Yeah, that's my home. Israel.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Facebook Live. Good morning, Breaking Strongholds Ministries. Good morning, YouTube with Orlando, keeping it simple. How's everybody doing this morning? Happy Sabbath day, This is the day that the Most High have made. So let us be glad and rejoice in it. How's everybody doing this week? I hope you have had a blessed week. I hope the Most High has blessed you over and abundantly with love, kindness, and peace, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. I hope He has blessed your offspring. I hope He has blessed you in the manner in which your heart desire. I hope He has given you peace, love, kindness, and I hope He has opened your eyes up to reality. I hope He has really opened your eyes up to what's going on in the world today. I hope He has. I hope that He's really truly speaking to you. I hope He really is speaking to you about what's actually going on in the world today. Yesterday, right? I was at this food chain store, this grocery store, and I am really trying to cut back on meat. And And as I had went into the store, I had bought me some chicken fingers, right? And I was in this store, right, buying me something to eat, and the Ruach HaKodesh or the Holy Spirit was speaking to me as I was buying the stuff out the store. And the Spirit was telling me, he's like, have you noticed how all the, say, chicken fingers that I bought, right? All the chicken fingers are somewhat the same size. They're designed the same way. They look the same way. He said, have you wondered how all the chicken fingers in this grocery store have the same similar sized chicken fingers? And I said, no. He said, how can, the Spirit was having a conversation with me, and the Spirit said, how can this chicken finger come out of a chicken? Because if the legs are good, if the thighs are good, if the breast is good, where's this chicken finger coming from? And the chicken finger about this long and that big around. And I'm saying, well, where did that chicken finger come from? Because it's designed the same way. How did they get that design out of the chicken? How did they get that design out of the chicken? I was like, huh. So I was like, wow. And then he said, don't just look at the chicken fingers that you just bought. The Spirit said, look at the chicken fingers that's at these other fast food chains. Most chicken fingers are designed the same way. He said, how is that? And I was just like, I was blown away, because earlier that week I said that the Ruach HaKodesh don't speak, or the Holy Spirit don't speak to me like it used to. But I know that the Spirit speaks to me, or the Ruach speaks to me. It's just that I just didn't have, I normally would have a conversation with the Spirit like I did yesterday. And it says, just look at some of the other fast food chains and how all of the chicken fingers are made the same. But where did they get the chicken fingers if the chicken breasts are good? And it just blew my mind, because if the wings are good, if the thighs are good, if the legs are good, where's the chicken fingers coming from? And I said, I guess I won't be eating no more chicken fingers. Because there's no way, how can you create chicken fingers that designed the same way majority of the time? Where did they come from? Where did they come from? Even when you go to other fast food chains, and where did the chicken fingers come from? Because if you ever notice, most of the chicken fingers are designed the same way. And I was just like, wow. And I told my wife, maybe 6 months ago, I told her, I said, listen, I said, we can't buy no chicken if it don't have no bone in it. But here I am buying chicken that don't have any bones in it, and you really don't know if it's really chicken or not. And I understand, when I went to this store last week, I understand why people buy whole fish. I understand why they buy the whole complete fish, because they know that that fish had some form of life in it. Because a lot of the time you don't even know if the because I have seen some on YouTube and Facebook where some people will go into a store and buy fish, and the fish is artificial. It's not real. You can put it in water and then turn around and squeeze it, and then it will squeeze the water out of it, then form back to the way it was. So I really now understand why people buy whole fish. Because, you know, it's like, that's what you really, you know what you got when you buy a whole fish. But you don't really know what you got if you buy a half of a fish that's cut in half. You don't know what you have. And that's why one of my coworkers, I think he's a good dude. He tells me all the time, get off meat, because you really don't know what you're eating. You know, you really don't know what you're eating, because it's like, how can the meat continue to be red if you have drained all the meat out of if you have drained all the blood out of the meat? How can it continue to be red after 4 or 5, 3 or 4 days in the store? And it's just a lot that the Most High took me through yesterday for me to understand it in the conversation I had with my wife this morning. And it's like, it's just so much stuff going that crossed my mind on why we are obese, why we have certain conditions, and and I can go into some other stuff because I don't research some stuff and I understand. But I just threw that out there to you this morning because it was just on my mind, and the Most High was just letting you all know what the Most High did for me yesterday. So I was just passing it on to you, giving you food for thought. When you go to these stores and you buy these chicken fingers and chicken tenders and things of that nature, where they getting the chicken fingers and the chicken tenders from? If the whole chicken is good, where are they getting that stuff from? But let us turn to Exodus chapter 20, verses 1 through 17, and it reads, And El spake all these words, saying, I am Yahuwah thy El, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage, and thou shalt have no other Els before me, and thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything that is in the heavens above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah thy El, am a jealous El, visiting the iniquities of the fathers upon the children unto the third or fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of Yahuwah thy El in vain, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that taketh his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the 7th day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah thy El. In it thou shalt not do any works. Thou nor thy sons, nor thy daughter, thy manservants, nor thy maidservants, nor thy cattle, nor thy strangers that is within thy gates. For in 6 days Yahuwah made the heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the 7th day. Wherefore Yahuwah blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy fathers and thy mother, that thy day be long upon the land which Yahuwah thy El giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbors, and thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservants, nor his maidservants, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor's. So let us pray. Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come. Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us of our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Thine to the kingdom, power to the glory, forever and ever. So let it be. Amen, amen, amen. Like I said, good morning, good morning, good morning. Facebook Live, good morning, Breaking Strongholds Ministries. Good morning, YouTube with Orlando, keeping it simple. How's everybody doing this morning? How's everybody doing this morning? If if you could get the word, turn the word of the Most High to Ezekiel chapter 39. Ezekiel chapter 39. Chapter 39, we're going to be going through 1 through 11 through 23 or 24 this morning. 11 through 24 this morning. And the key verse probably would be verse 17. I had a late start this morning. Verse 17. And it says, And thou son of man, thus saith Yahuwah, speak unto every feathered fowl, and to every beast of the field. Assemble yourselves and come, gather yourselves on every side to my sacrifice that I do sacrifice for you. Even a great sacrifice upon the mountain of Israel, that ye may eat flesh and drink blood. Wow. Let me read it over. And it says, And thou, son of man, thus saith Yahuwah, speak unto every feathered fowl, and to every beast of the field. Assemble yourselves and come. Gather yourselves on every side to my sacrifice that I do sacrifice for you. I do sacrifice for you. Even a great sacrifice upon the mountain of Israel, that ye may eat flesh and drink blood. If I may give a title of the text this morning, the title of the text this morning is The Greatest Sacrifice Ever. The Greatest Sacrifice Ever. That is the title of the text this morning. The word sacrifice is a 13th century word. It means to offer something or to a deity as an expression of thanks, devotion, penance. Okay, the meaning of sacrifice means to render, to give up, suffer to be lost for the sake of something else. Listen to that. That is good right there. It is offer a sacrifice, something sacred or something, making off. No, that ain't what I want to put. Okay, listen to this. And it says the word sacrifice meaning surrender. It means to give up. Surrender. Give up. Suffer. Listen to that. Suffer to be lost. Lost for the sake of something else. A sacrifice simply means to surrender, give up, suffer to be lost for the sake of something else. And see, a lot of the times, okay, let me go to another word. Let me go to my other word. Render. Render. Render means, it's part of surrender, but render. Render means to repeat, say again, recite. It is a late 14th century word. it means also to give back. Render means to give back. Listen to that. Give back. Okay, it also means to give back, return, restore. Restore. Okay, that's what render means. Rend means to is by influence of a Middle East. Rend means a payment of rent. Okay, it means in the sense of reduce. Okay, but render basically means to give back, restore, sacrifice. Okay, so now the title of the text again is the greatest sacrifice ever. The two words is render and sacrifice. Okay, so I want to talk to you a little bit about something before I get started. I want to ask you a couple of questions this morning. As we see everything that's going on in the world today, how do we view it? How do we look at it? How do we see things that's going on in the world today? Do we see it from a spiritual sense? From a Galatians 6 and 7 point of view? Okay, Galatians says in 6, are we going to look at it from a Galatians standpoint? Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. So, are we looking at everything from that Galatians 6 and 7 viewpoint? Be not deceived, God is not mocked. For whatever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. Are we looking at things from a biblical perspective or Bible perspective or spiritual perspective? Or are we just looking at it from the carnal mind perspective on how we're looking at Russia as being the evil person for invading Ukraine? And Ukraine is the weaker vessel nation who is simply just trying to defend themselves from this monster called Russia. So, are we which point of view are we looking at it? Because when we're looking at whatever viewpoint we're looking at it is how we were basically. It tells us a lot about our thought process. It tells about us about how we see the Most High. And a lot of things of that nature, because if we look at everything from a coincidental or from that's just man doing what man want to do, and it's taking away the value of the power of the Most High. You're not looking at the Most High don't have his hands in everything. You saying that man has man has the authority to do whatever he want to do without the permission of the Most High. You're looking at it. You're looking at it from the Most High is not being involved in that situation. You're not looking at the spirits being involved in that situation, because you're saying the man really basically has the authority to do whatever he want to do. And I do believe that to some extent. Like, if you want to choose to go in there and buy a piece of candy from the store, or if you want to choose to buy you a house and you pray for the house that you want and the Most High give you that. Yes, we have those limited abilities to do certain things, but do man have the abilities to be able to cause a major war on the massive scale that it is today? Do we have that abilities to be able to just do what we want to do without no recompense? And if and what we see today is, do it have anything to do with divine prophecy? What we seeing going on in the world today, is it divine prophecy or is it not divine prophecy? Because a lot of the times we may not, if we don't look at it from a divine prophecy point of view, we're not going to live and respond in a way of divine prophecy. But if we look at it from a divine prophecy point of view, our actions would be different. Our thought process would be different. Our motivation or our purpose would be different. Basically, just depending on how you see things going on in the world today will basically tell you, or you will respond off your thought process or your heart, which is your mind. If you never see it from a spiritual point of view, it will not cause you to want to seek the Most High. It will not cause you to want to try to do the right thing. It will not cause you to do things that you know you need to do. That is something that is a question I'm asking you, because see, Christianity have taught us for a long period of time that God is just love. God is just yes, 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 and yes, 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 and yes, 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 and God don't have no recompense, or God don't have no thought. God don't have no vengeance. See, Christianity don't tell you, or the world don't talk about God or the Most High having recompense or vengeance or punishment. They don't do that. They just blame it all on man and give the man the authority to be able to do all these things. But the Bible contradicts what people say when they say God is just love. And see, today when I'm coming to you, I want you to view the Most High in a different viewpoint. I want you to look at him from a different lens. I don't want you to look at him as he just love and he just gonna give me everything I want, how I want it, the way I want it, and just I don't want you to look at it that way. I want you to look at it from Galatians 6 and 7. Let me read it to you again. I want you to look at it from Galatians 6 and 7. Be not deceived, God is not mocked, for whatsoever a man soweth, that shall he also reap. I want you to look at it from that viewpoint. I want you to look at how the Most High treats you, because how the Most High treats you is how you treat other people and how you've been treated, and how you treat other people. How you treat other people is how the Most High is going to treat you. And I'm going to give you a couple of verses today to be at the end to be able to let you understand that your viewpoint of the Most High is totally construed or misled or misunderstood if you think that God is just going to say, I love you regardless, and everybody's going to heaven and all this, that, and the other. Oh, you're sadly mistaken. You're sadly mistaken when you think that way, because that's not the reality. We make decisions based on our desires, and whatever our desires is, he give you what you ask for, and whatever you ask for, it tells people where your heart lies. Either it's with the Most High or either it's with the material possessions of the world. Because when I was praying this week, the Most High showed me, he said to me this week, he said he was talking about us making decisions. And he said that I forgot, man. He was talking about how we make decisions and the entrapment of us making decisions. Because we make decisions based on material possessions. We don't make decisions on a spiritual satisfaction. That's why man will never be satisfied, because he's always trying to satisfy the flesh when the flesh can never be satisfied, because it's always something else out there tempting the flesh. But I had to come back to it. But let me read you something, and I want you to understand something. This is in Job 1 and 6 and 7, and then I'm going to go back and get ready to get started in Ezekiel. Okay, and it says, now was a day when the sons of El came. This coming out of Job 1, 6 and 7. It says, now there was a day when the sons of El came to present themselves before the Lord, or Yahuwah, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, which cometh thou? And then Satan answered the Lord and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my son, my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that fears God and eschews evil? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, do a Job fear God for naught? Hast thou not made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he has on every side? Thou hast blessed the works of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. Then this is what the conversation says. It said, but put forth thy hands now, and touch all that he has, and he will curse thee to thy face. Listen to this. And the Lord said unto Satan, behold, all that he has is in thy hands, or in thy powers. So, at that point there, this is two spirits talking. This is two spirits talking. And Job don't have anything to do with the conversation that the Most High and Job was having. Job didn't have anything to do with the Most High and the Hashatan conversation. Job was just a bystander. He was just a tool and an instrument that was being used for the glory and the satisfaction of the Most High. Job didn't know what was going to actually happen in his life prior to it's happening. Job didn't know what was going to take place. Job didn't know anything about what was going on up in the heavens, or the Shemiam. Job didn't know anything. He was still down there doing what he was doing on earth. But the Hashatan, or Satan, and the Most High was having a conversation. God was saying, the Most High was saying, okay, well, do everything you want. He said, Satan said, well, take your hedges out from around them. See, the Most High was protecting Job at that time. Okay, then Satan said, well, take your hedge out from around him, or touch him, or do something to him. He won't bless you no more. Then the Most High gave the Hashatan, or that spirit, power to touch Job. I want us to understand that, because that's very deep. Sometimes when we think that man is doing something, it's actually God is giving powers over to those dominions to do whatever they want to do. That's why I brought that up, because we have to understand that man really only have finite abilities. We have limited abilities to do things. Job wouldn't go kill his own family. There had to be a divine power to intervene at that time to do what happened to Job. So that's why I asked you the question of, when you're looking at the war that's going on over in Russia and Ukraine, how are you viewing it? How you look at it? What's your perspective on it? Because if you're looking at it from, this is man's doing, you take away the authority of the Most High. But when you're looking at it from the Most High doing it, you're giving credit to the Most High and His power. So when you're looking at what's going on in the world today, I want you to try to view things different from once I teach you on this lesson today, because we really have to change our frame of thinking in order for us to be able to have salvation. Because Job was just a third party. We're all just third parties in this process. We don't really have no abilities to be able to change anything unless the Most High give us the authority to change it. If He don't send you any dreams, or He don't send you no prophecy, no prophets to speak into your life, you don't have no abilities to change anything. Okay, so let us go back to Ezekiel chapter 39. And the reason why I'm saying that today is because what we see is the Gog and Magog war going on. And this is just the beginning of the Gog and Magog war. And how things are taking place during the end time prophecy. Everything that we see now is very biblical, but if you don't see it from a biblical point of view, you're not going to respond from it. You're not going to respond to it from a biblical point of view. Everything that you see going on over there today is biblical. And the Most High is giving those people, they're reaping what they have sown for a long period of time. That's why I told you last week, Russia, Ukraine, Israel, and the United States are all intertwined in this peace. All of them are intertwined in this peace. Very much so. It is so because the United States are continuing to pour money into Ukraine. When actuality, Ukraine and Russia and Israel and the United States are all brothers, being honest with you. And it goes back to the 300 AD, and even farther back than that, when it's Greece then Rome, and Greece and Rome are brothers, are cousins. So it goes way back. It's very deep, but it's very biblical. It's very biblical from the Bible viewpoint. It's prophecy that's taking place. And if we can't see that from there, and this war going on, because everything that happens over there in Ukraine is affecting the world. It's affecting the whole planet. Because the simple fact is, Ukraine has so much nutrients in its soil and producing wheat. And wheat is in everything. Fuel, it comes from Russia. Russia gives fuel to everybody. The lithium that's in the soil in Ukraine is very vital to the future of technology. But how the people got what they have is very important. The positions that they're in, how they got what they are, things of that nature, that is very important to future prophecies. And see in chapter 38, 39, in Ezekiel, the Most High is dealing with Gog and Magog, or Gog, that region over there, over in the Eurasia Peninsula, a continent. He's dealing with those people because of how they got the resources that they have today. That's why sometimes we got to get out of the thought process of God is love, 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 love. No, we're going to misunderstand the Most High. But if we look at it from a vengeance point of view, or you reap what you sow point of view, from a spirit point of view, we can be able to understand that more. Okay? So now when we go down to Ezekiel chapter 39 verse 11, you will understand that we're dealing with God. God is, where did I put that at? Gog is basically Russia. Gog is basically Russia, Meshach, Tubal, which is Turkish, or Turkey, or Eastern European. It is Iran. It is the Soviet. It is all of those. That is in chapter 10, verses 1 through 5 in Genesis. If you want to know what's actually going on, you got to read Genesis chapter 10, 1 through 5 to be able to understand the countries that is involved. And the countries that is involved in this is Japhet. Japhet. Okay? But now let us read in Ezekiel chapter 39, verse 11. And it says, "And it shall come to pass in that day," in this specific day, in this specific day means time. Not one day, but a season or a time. "That I will give unto Gog a place there of graves in Israel, the valley of the passengers on the east of the sea. And it shall stop the noses of the passengers. And there shall they bury Gog and all his multitude, and they shall call it the valley of Hamon-Gog." Okay. What we're doing is talking about the after effects of the war. We're talking about the after effects of the war and the multitude of the people that's going to be buried. We're talking about the after effects of this war that's going to take place, and the amount of people that will be buried during this time frame. Okay, so let me go ahead and let me deal with the nations for a second. Let's go to Revelations. No, let us go to First Chronicles. First Chronicles 1 and 5. This is the nation. First Chronicles 1 and 5 is talking about the nations in Ezekiel chapter 39. Then it's basically telling you what I just said in Genesis chapter 10, verses 1 through 5. The sons of Japhet, which is Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, and Tubal, Meshach, and Tyrus. Those are the nations that is over there now in the chapter 39 in Ezekiel, which is Japhet. Most Ham's generation is not in this war. Ham and Sham's nations are not in the war. Only Japhet nations are in the war, which is the sons of Japhet, Gomer, Magog, Madai, Javan, and Tubal, Meshach, and Tyrus. So when we're looking at the war that's going on, we're looking at the sons of Japhet, because they actually control the whole globe at this point in time. Nothing on the earth that they don't control. Nothing on the earth that they're not in charge of. Just like I was looking at something yesterday where the United States is getting ready to go into Haiti and take over Haiti. Or try to take over Haiti because of the oil that's over there in Haiti and the gold and the minerals that's in Haiti. But if we look at it, Japhet controls the whole world at this point in time. Also, let us go to Ezekiel chapter 27. I'm trying to get you to understand when we're talking about Ezekiel chapter 39, we're talking about he's speaking to Japhet and his lineage. He's speaking to Japhet and his lineage. Let's go to Ezekiel chapter 27, verses 13. Okay? Because I want you to understand that Most High is dealing with, he's not dealing with Ham or Shem. He's only dealing with the nation of Japhet. Okay, and it says in Ezekiel chapter 27, verse 13, to Javan, Tubal, Meshach, they were thy merchants. They traded the persons of men and vessels of brass in thy market. Listen, that was their actions. They was buying and selling people for money. Japhet was buying and selling people for money. They was the merchants. They was the #1 slave traders during the slave markets. And they did it they did it for personal gain. And that was the wrong way to do it. And the woman king shows you that to a small extent. How Japhet came to Ham for slaves. Yeah, in the movie The Woman King, it shows you that Japhet came to Ham to buy slaves to build up his nation. Okay, and it says in Japhet, Tubal, Meshach, they were thy merchants. They traded the persons of men and vessels of brass in thy market. They of the house of Gomer traded in thy fairs with horses and horsemen and mules. Okay, the word merchants in verse 13 means the word merchants means to travel for trading for spices. They were businessmen. They was basically trading people for money. This is why the Most High is dealing with these nations so much, is because of their actions. And a lot of people have, and I'm finna get rid of stock. I'm getting rid of. A lot of people have Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome is feeling of trust or an affection felt in many cases of kidnapping or hostage taking by a victim towards a captor. The Stockholm Syndrome is you feeling sorry for the person who enslaved you. And see, a lot of us have that Stockholm Syndrome because we feel sorry for people who have oppressed people. Because the person who's oppressing people have played on the emotions of the oppressed to make them feel like they are really the victim. The oppressors are really the victim when they are not. And a lot of us have that Stockholm Syndrome. Okay? So that's why I'm asking that question of how you feel about it, because however you see it depends on your mindset. See, a lot of people may feel empathy for Ukraine, but why you feel sorry for Ukraine when Ukraine have been selling people into slavery in the past times? Why are you feeling sorry for Javan when it just told you? It says they were thy merchants, traders, businessmen. They traded the persons of men and vessels of brass in thy market. They were selling people. But why are you feeling sorry for them? And see, the Most High is dealing with that. Let us go to Revelation chapter 20. Eight and 9. It says, and when the 1,000 years are expired, Satan shall be loosed out of his prison, and shall go out to deceive the nations which are in the four quarters of the earth, Gog and Magog, to gather them together to battle, the number of whom is as the sand of the sea. And they went up on the breadth of the earth and compassed the camps of the saints about. And the beloved city, and fire came down from God, El, out of heaven to devour them, devour Magog and Gog. So we also understand that Gog and Magog, they deceived the whole earth. They just didn't use people as merchandise. They just didn't use things as for their good. They also used the information that they had to manipulate the people to think something when it wasn't. So that's why the Most High is really bringing vengeance on the earth right now, is because so much stuff has been taking place that he needs to bring a correction. But depending on how you view it, depending on if you have Stockholm syndrome or not. Okay? So let us go back to Ezekiel, chapter 38, verses 12. Chapter 39, verse 12. So we understand that the Most High is dealing with Magog and Gog, which is in Genesis chapter 10, 1 through 5, or in the region that you see the wars going on now. Okay? And it says, in 7th month shall the house of Israel be burying of them, that they may cleanse the land. The Most High is saying in this verse here is that it's going to be so much death going on from that region, and it's going to be so much death going on that the children, because the children of Israel is not in that battle. I'm going to say this. The nation of Shem is not in the war. The nation of Ham is not in the war. Not as of yet. Only the sons of Japhet is in the war, which is the European nations. Let me just say that so that you can make it, so it can be more clearly. You don't see South Africa or any African continents, any African countries in that war. You don't see any nations of Shem in the war because Shem is in captivity. Only people that you see that's in the war right now are European nations. Okay? And then it says, yea, all the people of the land shall bury them. What's getting ready? Okay, let me read. Let me go ahead. And shall bury them, and it shall be to them a renown the day that I shall be glorified, said Yahuwah. So, after this war takes place, and after all the things that happen on the land, the only people that's going to be able to cleanse the land is the people who hasn't been in the war. And the people who's not going to be in the war is the nation of Shem. Because Ham is eventually going to get in it, because right now the United States is going against Ethiopia. South Africa is part of the BRICS. A lot of the other African countries are starting to side with either China, Russia, or the United States. So the only nations that's not going to actually be in this conflict is the nation of Shem. And that's the reason why the nation of Shem is not going to be in the conflict, because we're in captivity. We're not even involved in this war because we are in captivity. And the reason why some of us may be involved is because we volunteered for the Army, or the Navy, or the Air Force, or the Marines. But other than that, we will not be a part of the war. Okay, and there's going to be so much death on the land that it's going to take 7 months to bury a lot of the people that's on the land. Okay? And then it says, and yea, all the people of the land shall bury them, and it shall be to them a renown, the day that I shall be glorified, saith Yahuwah. See, that's why I'm asking you, how do you see things? Because the Most High is saying everybody going to be glorifying the Most High at this time, but if you don't view it from a spiritual if you don't look at it from a spiritual viewpoint, you're not going to see it. You're going to see it as a tragedy. But some people are going to look at it as a glorified moment because what those nations did in the past. So, it's how you view it. Verse 14, and they shall savor out men of continual employment passing through the land to bury with the passengers those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it. After the end of 7 months shall they search. And the passengers that pass through the land, when any see a man's bones, then shall he set up a sign by it, till the burier have buried it in the valley of Hemagog. And also the name of the city shall be Hamah. Thus shall they cleanse the land. What it's saying is, they're going to be employing people for 7 months throughout the whole earth to bury people that's going to be on the earth dead. Because it's going to be so much of a tragedy. Everywhere somebody goes, they're going to see a dead, they're going to see a body in the street, and they're going to seal, they're going to plot, they're going to put a stake or a sign right there to let people know, hey, this is where this body is. I need for somebody to bury this body. I need for somebody to bury that body over there. I need somebody. It's going to be signs indicating to people, hey, this body here need to be buried. This body here need to be buried. This body here need to be buried. And it's going to be so many bodies on the earth that it's going to take a long period of time for people to be buried. This is the beginning of the tragedy. This is the beginning of the sacrifice. Because we have to... Okay. Verse 17. Because I want us to understand that the Most High is dealing with Magog and Gog. He's dealing with Gog or Japhet. And he's dealing with them because of what they have done. He's dealing with them on what they have done to the nations of people. And he's saying you reap what you sow. Basically, you're going to get paid back for the things that you did. This is what the Most High is saying, not me, Orlando Fralin. This is what the Most High is saying. And I'm just interpreting it to you from my understanding. Okay, and it says in verse 17, the first point, he's dealing with nations. I'm giving you 3 points. He's dealing with the nation of Japhet. And he's sacrificing Japhet because of what Japhet did in his past. Okay? The second point is sacrifice. And it's going to be mentioned 3 times in verse 17. And it says, and thou, son of man, thus saith Yahuwah, speak unto every feathered ant, every feathered fowl, and to every beast of the field, assemble yourselves and come, gather yourselves on every side to my sacrifice. Listen to that. To my sacrifice. And that I do sacrifice for you. Even a great sacrifice upon the mountain of Israel, that ye may eat flesh and drink blood. What is the sacrifice? And it says in verse 12, in 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying of them, that they may cleanse the land, and ye, all the people of the land, shall be burying them. Who? The people that fought in the Gog and Magog war. So it's saying that the birds will be in the fowls of the air, and the beasts of the field will be eating the carcasses, because there's going to be so much death on the scene. And that's why I'm asking you these questions that I asked you from the very beginning. Do you think that the Most High had this, would do something like this? What viewpoint do you see the Most High at? Because he said it's going to be so much death on the land where we're not going to have enough people on the earth to bury all the dead. So what the Most High is going to do, he's going to use the fowls of the air and the beasts of the field to eat up what we can't bury. Verse 18, listen, and I'm going to go back to some verses. And it says, ye shall eat the flesh. Listen to this.
This is what the fowls of the air and the beasts of the field gonna do. Ye shall eat the flesh of the mighty, and drink the blood of the prince of the earth, of ram and of lamb and of goats and bullocks, and all of them fastening of Bashan. And ye shall eat fat till ye be full, and drink blood till ye be drunken of my, listen to this, of my sacrifice, which I have sacrificed for you. See, that's why I'm asking you all the question. How you view this, how you see what's going on the earth today. Do you look at it from a spiritual point of view, or do you look at this from a man's point of view? I showed you in Job. Job wasn't even involved in the situation. This was a spiritual decision that was made to come upon Job. So if that was a spiritual decision that was made for Job, what you think this decision came, where this decision came from? Let's go to 1 Samuel. And this is a very familiar passage, but I want you to understand something. See, when we look at it from a sacrifice point of view now, 1 Samuel chapter 17, verse 45 and 46. Very familiar story, David and Goliath. Let's look at it. It says, Then said David to the Philistines, Thou come to me with a sword and with a spear and with a shield. But I come to thee in the name of Yahuwah of hosts, of armies, in the El of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defiled. Listen to that, defiled, disrespected, put down. Okay? It says, this day will be Yahuwah's deliver thee into my hands, and I will smite thee and take thy head from thee, and I will give the carcass of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a El in Israel. So, when you look at the story of Goliath now, David and Goliath now, you have to look at it from a different point of view. Goliath was sacrificed in front of the whole world to show people that the Most High was in the nation of Israel. We looked at it as a war, but it was also a living sacrifice. Because it also says in verse 17, he says, I will give the carcass, verse 46, it says, I will give the carcass of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air. The Most High sacrificed Goliath to show everybody who was actually in charge. And he used David as a person to look at it from a supernatural perspective. Because the reason why they're looking at it from a supernatural perspective, because David only had 5 rocks and a slingshot, but Goliath was this tall, say 10-foot, this 12-foot dude with this shield and this sword in his hand. And when you look at that fight, you looking like David finna get slaughtered. But it had to be a miracle to take place in order for David to win the fight. So when you look at it from a miracle point of view, it says something had to intercede in order for David to win. And what superseded in order for David to win was his El, was his creator, was the one who chose him for that position. So when we look at things, we got to understand. We got to look at it from a totally different viewpoint. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 46 and verse 10. I'm not going to hold you 2 hours a day. Okay. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter. It says verse 49. 40 is verse chapter Jeremiah 46 9 and 10. It says, "Come up, ye horses, and rage, ye chariots. Let the mighty men come forth, the Ethiopians and the Libyans that handle the shields, and the Lydians that handle and bend the bow." Listen, that's the nation of Ham now. And it says, "For this is the day of Yahuwah of hosts, a day of vengeance, that he may avenge him of his adversaries. And the sword shall devour, and shall be saturated, and make drink with their blood. For Yahuwah of hosts as a sacrifice in the north country by the river Euphrates. Go into Gilead, and take Bam's old virgins, the daughters of Egypt. In vain shalt thou use many medicines, for thou shalt not be cured. The nations have heard of thy shame, and thy cries have filled the land. For the mighty men have stumbled against the mighty men, and they are fallen both together. The sword that Yahuwah spoke to Jeremiah the prophet, how Nebuchadnezzar king of Babylon should come and smite the land of Egypt. Declare ye in Egypt, and publish, and to all those countries." But it's just like it's saying that the Most High just didn't sacrifice the Egyptians or Ham. He's sacrificing Japhet. All of them was a sacrifice for Yahuwah. All of them was a sacrifice. All these nations was a sacrifice for the Most High. In order for us to really see what the truth what's going on, let's go for Zephaniah. Let's go to Zephaniah 1, 6, and 7. That's why I'm asking you how you see things. How we see it. How we see it. How we see it. Zephaniah 1, 6, and 7. It says, "And them that are turned back from Yahuwah, and those that have not sought Yahuwah, nor inquired for him, hold thy peace at the presence of Yahuwah, for the day of Yahuwah is at hand. For Yahuwah has prepared a sacrifice, for he has bid his guests. And it shall come to pass in the day of Yahuwah's sacrifice, that I will punish the prince and the king's children, and all such are clothed with strange apparels. In the same day also will I punish all those that leap on the threshold, which fill their masters' houses with violence and deceit." Okay, so let me go to the word sacrifice in verse 7. Tell you what the definition means. The word sacrifice means a slaughter. That is the flesh of an animal. By implication, a sacrifice. The victim or act offering a sacrifice. And what is a sacrifice? A sacrifice is to surrender, to give up, suffer to be lost for the sake of something else. See, I like this part. To be lost for the sake of something else. See, all this stuff that you see going on today is a suffer for the loss a something else, and the something else is for the children of Israel. Everything that you see going on today is for the sake of the children of Israel. But some of us don't even see that. Some of us don't even see it in that demeanor. And see, sometimes we could be so arrogant, but we could be, and it could be, we could be so arrogant in our ways and thinking that recompense won't come or vengeance won't come. And when it comes, it's gonna be so destructive. Let's go down to verse 20 in Ezekiel chapter 39. I'm finished. Okay, these nations are being sacrificed for everybody to acknowledge Yahuwah, basically. That's basically what it's all about. To acknowledge Yahuwah. But if you don't look at it from that spiritual viewpoint, but you only look at it from man, what man is doing, you'll never change your life. You'll never do anything because you're looking at man as in power. Okay, verse 20. It says, Thus ye shall be filled at my tables with horses and chariots, with mighty men, and with all men of war, saith Yahuwah. He was talking to the fowls of the air. Then it says, and I will set my glory among the heathens, and all the heathens shall see my judgment that I have executed. The judgment is the war that he's going to cause all the people to die from. And my hands that I have laid upon them. Listen to that. Let me read that over. Listen to the whole synopsis of listen to everything that I was just talking about, the Magog and Gog war, and how he brought them down to Jehoshaphat to fight in the valley, and how he's making all this stuff come to be. Then he said, I will set my glory among the heathens, which is the nation of Japhet. And all the heathens shall see my judgment that I have executed. The Most High said, this is my doing. This is my doing over there. This ain't got nothing to do with man. This is my doing. Listen to it. He said, and all the heathens shall see my judgment that I have executed. He said, I put this in motion. I did all of this. And my hands that I have laid upon them. So the house of Israel shall know that I am Yahuwah their El from that day and forward. Because those truly who see the Bible, or the Biblio, or the Word of the Most High, from its true context, everybody understand who they are because they did research and not read. And when you did research and you didn't read, you'll understand who is who. You'll understand everybody's standpoint. Even though Gentiles could be a part of the kingdom, they got to be attached to the nation of Israel. Okay, and it said, and I'm going to say something to you too. You can't have no hate in your heart for any other nation. You can't have no hate in your heart for any other nation because everybody was put in place to do what they were supposed to do. But you just got to be able to sit back and look at everything. And I'm going to say this. You can't have no hate in your heart for what's going on because it was designed this way. Treat people the way you want to be treated. And let the Most High deal with them on their level. Because it's going to be some nations that's going to be attached to us in the new kingdom. Just like when we came out of Egypt, it was a multitude of people that was attached to us. So you can't be prejudiced, you can't be racist, you can't be any of that. You can't be that. Okay? Then it says, again in verse 22, all this was for, so the house of Israel shall know that I am Yahuwah, their El, from that day forward. What day? The day that he poured blood on us and he made that covenant with us, our forefather Moses. The day he made that covenant with Moses, we became his offspring. Then it says, and the heathen shall know. All this is for everybody to know who's actually in charge. The Most High. And it says, and the heathen shall know that the house of Israel went into captivity for their iniquities, because they trespassed against me. Therefore hid I my face from them, and gave them into the hands of their enemies. So fell they all by the sword. So fell they all by the sword, according to their uncleanness, according to their work, according to their transgressions, have I done unto them, and hid my face. So the Most High said, the children of Israel went into captivity because of their transgressions. And he said, I'm going to bring death on you because of your transgressions. But everything was done for the Most High to get acknowledged, or to be known, or to know. The word the word know in verse 22 it means to basically to know. It means to advise, to answer, to appoint, to assuredly, to be aware. It means comprehend, consider. It means declare, to be diligent, to discern, to discover. And the reason why we need to know this, because what's taking place is unprecedented. We got to look at this as saying, this cannot be man's doing. Man didn't have anything to do with this. What we see on the earth today, where Russia's saying that they're gonna hit Ukraine with a nuke, and everybody's talking about this is worse than Kennedy period. Everybody's telling everybody to buy iodine pills and iodine pills so that if it happens, you won't get affected by it. We got to look at this thing as greater than man. We got to look at this thing as the Most High intervening. He's coming to get his righteous ones. He's coming to protect the ones. That's what we got to understand. All this that you see and what you're going to see in the near coming months and years is the Most High bringing recompense. Let's go to Psalms. And I'm gonna bring something up to your attention too, because I'm about to finish. Psalms 9 and 16. Psalms 9 and 16. I'm going to read number 15 first. It says, the heathens are sunk down in the pit that they made. Listen to that. It says, the heathens are sunk down in the pit that they made, in the net which they had hid, in their own foot taken. What that verse is saying is that people are setting traps for you, but actually it's going to be for them. You see, the heathens are sunk down in the pit that they made, that they made in the net which they hid is their own foot taken. They threw a net out there to catch somebody, but they the one who got the net caught. They was the one who caught in the net. It says, Yahuwah is known by the judgments which he executes. The actions, the things that he's done, he's known by which he executes. The wicked is snared in the works of his own hands. See, a lot of the time, and that's what gets me, and that's what's, everybody has their own plans for what they want to do, how they want to do it, the way they want to do it. But in actuality, at the end of the day, it's all going. You're going to do what the Most High wants you to do, regardless of what you want to do. It's just the simple fact is you got to go through the process of understanding not your will be done, but his will be done. Let's go to Jeremiah chapter 24. Verse 7, 6 and 7. That's what we gotta, it says, for I will set my eyes upon them for good, and I will bring them again to this land, and I will build them and I will not put them down, and I will plant them, and I will not pluck them up. This is what the Most High will do. And it says, I will give them a heart to know me, that I am Yahuwah, and they shall be my people, and I will be their El. For they shall return unto me with their whole heart. Once you look at things from a different lens, this don't have anything to do with Russia. This don't have anything to do with Ukraine. This don't have anything to do with the U.S. This don't have anything to do with Israel, the state of Israel. This has something to do with the Most High. You will change your life. You will view things from a different total viewpoint. And see, my wife had a dream this week that my son came to my house and tried to get into my house at the end times, but he said, that's my daddy in there, that's my dad in there, but they would not let him in because his action wasn't right, because he didn't view me as his dad. And if you don't view the Most High as your spiritual father, your creator, and you don't abide by his words, he will not allow you into his house. And that's something we have to understand as a people. If you don't view the world and what's going on that the Most High is doing, it, he will not call you in the last day. He will not say to you, well done, my faithful servant. He will not say those words to you. He will say, I do not know thee. You will say, I did this and I did that. He said, remove yourself from me. I do not know you. John 17 and 3. What you finna say? And it says, as thou hast given him power over all flesh, that he should give eternal life to as many as thou hast given him. And this is life eternal, that they might know thee, the only true El, and Yeshua the HaMashiach, or Jesus Christ, whom thou hast sent. The only way you're going to do right is when you really truly know the Most High for who he really truly is. Because if you don't view things, if you don't look at things and what's going on in the world, if you cannot, if you say you'll go to church and you read the word, you would have been aware of situations that was happening on the earth, and you would have sought his advice before you did anything. And see, my conversation with it in prayer this week, it was about, and the Most High told me, he said, what's coming up is only going to be about people And see, the Hashatan is testing your heart. And the Most High is testing your heart. The Most High is allowing the Hashatan to test your heart by tempting you with material possessions to see if you want to be a part of the system or if you don't want to be a part of the system. That's why it says those who receive the mark will go up under judgment for 3.5 years, and you will be sick for 3.5 years in Revelations. Hold on. Let me do so. Hold on. Okay. Verses 9 through, in Revelation verses 14 through 9, Revelation chapter 14 verses 9 through 11, it says, "And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, If any man worship the beast and his image, and receive his mark in his forehead or in his hand, the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of God, which is poured out without mixture in the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented." Listen. "He shall be tormented with fire and brimstones in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb, and the smoke of their torment ascend up forever and ever, and they shall have no rest day nor night who worship the beast and his image, and whoever soever receive the mark of his name. Here is the patience of the saints, and here are they that keep commandments of God and faith." Then, okay, let me see something. Okay, and then it says in chapter 15, it says, "I saw as were a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten the victory over the beast, and over the image, over his mark, and over the number of his name, stand in the sea of glass, having the harp of God, and they sang." Then it goes down to verse, hold on. I want to talk, because those people who receive that mark, they're going to be sick. I can't find it now, but I'm not going to hold us long. But okay, but what I'm just basically saying to you is, what I'm saying to you is this right here. These nations, we're in the season of Japhet sacrifice, and for everybody to know who Yahuwah is. Because verse 11 deals with the nation of Japhet. Verse 17 deals with the greatest sacrifice. And it was all because how you get a sacrifice is you get a sacrifice through slaughter or death. And this is to know that the Most High is in control of everything. Let's go to Isaiah, because this is when you really truly understand the Most High, who the Most High really is. The Most High is not love, love, love. Isaiah 45:7. I want you to understand something. Isaiah 45:7, it gives you a different viewpoint. And your viewpoint comes when you really truly understand the word. Your salvation comes when you become complete whole. When you begin to gain knowledge. That's when your salvation comes. When you truly understand or a glimpse of the Most High. Isaiah 45:7 reads, I formed the light and created darkness. I make peace and create evil. I, the Lord, do all these